to make this little sundress, I'm using two pattern pieces that I created. And I actually created these for the Easter dress that I did, but they work just fine for the sundress. I've got the body here, which is a lot wider than what I need, but I'm going to create a gather, and you'll see that later in the video. I've got what was the waistband for the Easter dress, which I'm using for the top band. That'll be the kind of like the bodice. And I also used it, I measured my mannequin, and I used it to make the straps. So I cut 2 straps, 4 bodice pieces, 2 body pieces, and I also cut out for a bow that I'm going to put on it. And I cut the bow fairly big, and I've got this thin little strap that I've already went in and ironed to make the bow. So let's get started. Just wanted to show you the pattern pieces. This is the dress body. The straps, which I only cut 2 because I'm going to fold them and sew them and then turn them. And then I've got 4 pieces for the bodice, the little top band around the bust. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and sew these straps together, and all I'm going to do is fold them over, sew them down the side, and I'm not going to sew either end, and then I'm going to turn them and press them. There's my straps for the dress. Now we need to attach them to the bodice. Okay, I've taken 2 pieces of the bodice, and what I'm going to do is mark them so that I know where to put the straps. And I folded it and made a little crease so I can get in the middle. And I think I want to do, I actually had already marked that one 6 inches, but it looks really far apart, so I'm going to go for 5. So right at 2.5 on the fold mark that I have here. At 2.5 inches, I'm going to mark 5 here, and at the end of the ruler here seem to be on the outside. So I'm going to place the straps. Look at me, I'm just going backwards already. I'm going to place the strap right outside of that mark. Mess anything up. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect this to this piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tack these straps on here, and then I'm going to connect the back piece. Okay, so you can see I sewed just right along the edge there. And I'm going to take the pins out. Now we're going to fold it over, lay it over, and then we will turn it this way. I'll get it right in a minute now. And what I want to do is just make sure that would be right. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to place these straps, and I'm going to take it over to the machine and sew it the same way. Okay, so I just want to show you what I have here after I've sewn everything together. And the next step is going to be to connect the back pieces of the bodice, because that would raw edge wouldn't look so good, right? So what I want to do is, so I thought of a step that you really need to do before you do this, and I didn't want to skip that. To make it easier to connect the bodice and not have to fold things over, you just need to press a little hem around all 4 of the bottom bodice pieces. And I used my seam ripper and I cut this a little, so ripped it wide open actually, but I'm going to make it work because I don't have enough of this fabric left to cut another piece. I'm going to sew all 3 sides, leaving this bottom part open, because obviously if you sewed it you would sew the straps down to it and that wouldn't work. So I'm going to do that with this side and with this side, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so once we've sewn the bodice pieces together, this is what it looks like before you turn everything. And I'm going to clip the corners, being sure not to clip the stitching. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is turn all this stuff out. This is probably going to be a little large on my mannequin because I intend for it to be for my granddaughter. So, just an FYI. Alright, we want to press these down nice and purty. That is the bodice. So now we just have to work on the dress body, which is going to be pretty easy. So okay, the next thing I've done is I've gone in and gathered this top of the dress body, and I sewed a tight zigzag stitch around the armhole to make it neat, just because I didn't want to fold it over for this. So now we need to attach this to the bodice. Okay, so that looks about right. And the next thing I want to do is, this is actually the back of my dress. So I'm going to attach this. What I'm going to do is just put it in there, and I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to try to make sure that I've got it even. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and I think I'm going to sew from, I'm going to sew right along the edge of this, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Alrighty, once we've got the two pieces sewn together, you see how it looks. Now we just have to join the body pieces of the dress together. Lined up good, but it did. So we don't sew the armholes. We just start at the end of the armhole and go all the way down. And I'm going to do that, and I'll be back to show you making the bow. Alrighty, y'all. I've gone ahead and sewn the sides of the dress, and I went on and did a seam, just a little quick fold over. And this is our end result for our dress. Nice cute little dress. This could be used as an Easter dress or just an everyday summer dress. Now I want to add a pretty little bow to it, so I'm going to show you how to make that really quick. The first thing I did to make the bow is I just cut a couple of big chunky pieces in a rectangle of the fabric that I wanted to use. And what I'm going to do now is sew all the way around it. I'm going to close it completely up. Okay, this is sewn all the way around. If you can see, I didn't leave any openings for turning or anything because I'm going to first collect the corners so that they're nice and purty when we get it turned out. And then I want to take what I want to be the back of the bow. I'm going to pull these pieces apart so that this part doesn't get in the way, which will be the front. And just kind of somewhere in the center, I'm going to take my scissors and clip a little hole, and then I'm going to make a cross shape, not too big, just big enough. And I'm going to turn this. I think I would have liked to put interfacing in this to make it a nice stiff bow, but I think it'll be okay this way. I'm going to press it on both sides so that this side is nice and neat. Then I'm going to fold it so that I can find the center. And I'm going to mark that center on the back just to keep me in line, because I always end up a little off on these. And you see I didn't cut this completely in the center. It would be better if you did, but it's not really going to make a huge difference. Okay, I got a needle and thread here, and the first thing I want to do is just not sewing all the way through to the front. I want to close up this little opening that I made. And I'm not going to sew it too tight either, so it doesn't pinch the fabric and make it pucker up. If you ever know that's there, if you don't tell them. Got a couple of stitches in there. Okay, now I've got my line where my middle is for the bow. So now I'm going to take this piece, and I haven't sewn it, I've just ironed it, pressed it, and folded it over. And the crease is going to be the back. So I have to pinch my bow here with these, try to meet these two chalk lines that I drew. And this is going to be way more than I need for this tie piece. But like I always say, I go a little extra because you just never know. So then what I'm doing is I figure out how much of this tie piece I need, and I'm going to cut some of it off. And that way I can... I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm folding this piece over and putting that piece underneath it, and then I'm going to check my bow. Do I like it? Yeah, I kind of do. Still wish I'd have used interfacing though. So now I'm just going to straighten my bow out a little bit and get it the way I want it. And I have not cut this string where I closed up that hole. So now what I'm going to do is start sewing up the tie for the bow. Now I'm going to tie off the string and cut it, and then we can attach it to the dress. When I do a tie off on something small like this, if I can, I like to go through and just to actually have an extra tail in there when you cut it like this, if that makes sense. Okay. So that is our bow. Now we just have to attach it to the dress, and you could put this on a pin if you wanted to, or you could just sew it right onto the dress. I'm going to sew it right onto the dress. Y'all, look at that cutie patootie little dress, and so easy to make. This is a good sewing for beginners video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I kept it short enough for y'all this time. So anyway, that's it. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.